That's not an easy thing to pull off. He didn't use rhetorical devices on top of rhetorical devices. He used big claims. You might as well own it and say it with your chest. Welcome to another terrific communications analysis. My name is Farouk and I'm a communications coach. In this video, we're going to be breaking down and analyzing one of the biggest populist leaders of our times. He is the current president of the US. He is none other than Donald Trump. We're going to be reacting to his inauguration speech that he delivered a few days ago, and I'll provide a more detailed analysis afterwards. So if you would like to watch that, stick around till the end. All right, let's jump right in.
President Biden, Vice President Harris, and my fellow citizens, the golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
I like the speech so far. I like the opening line he used to get the audience's attention from the outset. He said that the golden age of America is here. What he's going for here is a bold claim. He's making a pretty bold claim to get the audience's attention from the outset. And a few sentences down, he uses two tricolons. First one, he says, sovereignty will be reclaimed, safety will be restored, and the scales of justice will be rebalanced. That's a tricolon. A tricolon is basically when you have three words or phrases in a row which have a similar structure to create emphasis for the audience. He used it here. And if you notice, and they all begin with the same letter, sovereignty, safety, and scales. So he's also using alliteration here. It's not just a tricolon. And the second one, he says vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the justice system. Same idea here. He's using a tricolon which begins with the same letter, which is V, except for weaponization, but that's close enough with the letter V. So he's also employing alliteration in his tricolons. This is a good way to create emphasis once again. Let's check out some more.
And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free.
Another tricolon.
America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before.
He's going to use a lot of these, so I guess I'm not going to point out each one, but just be aware that he's using it a lot.
I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before.
I like the imagery he used there. That sunlight is pouring over the entire world. That's a good way to create a vivid image in the listener's mind. This is also a metaphor. He's using sunlight to symbolize him and his administration's impact that they will have throughout the world.
But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government.
So now he's diving into, that's the transition here. He's moving from the introduction to the body of the speech now. This is where he's going to be discussing the challenges, as he says.
Government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad.
Ooh, he's using two rhetorical devices in that sentence. He says, continuing catalog of catastrophic events. That's a tricolon with alliteration because it begins with the letter C, all three words. And he's also using antithesis in that sentence by comparing a government that cannot handle crisis at home while stumbling into new problems abroad. So that's comparing home to abroad. Home and abroad. That's using antithesis right there.
It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have a...
Okay, so again, he uses antithesis there. A government that cannot protect its own law-abiding citizens. So these are he's saying law-abiding citizens in one sentence, in one part of this sentence, and then the next part he's saying dangerous criminals, and he's juxtaposing the two. And also the idea that one is being protected while the other one is not being protected.
Legally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people.
Same idea again, foreign borders with domestic problems. Antithesis.
Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly. And other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago. Or more recently, Los Angeles, where we're watching fires still tragically burn. From weeks ago, without even a token of defense, they're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now. They don't have a home any longer. That's interesting. But we can't let this happen. Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world.
Again, going for that antithesis idea, a system that's really well funded, but it's not functioning. Same thing here.
And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them.
Again, he's using antithesis here. He's juxtaposing love with hate. If you listen to that sentence again.
On it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly. My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason.
So now he's appealing to his credibility as the president. He's trying to show the audience that he has the credentials. By undergoing all these trials and tribulations, he's claiming that this makes him fit to be able to tackle the challenges that America's facing. He's appealing to ethos. In persuasive speaking, this is to build your own credibility up as a speaker in front of the audience, why your opinions should be taken seriously.
Was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you very much. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day.
I like the way he said Liberation Day with emphasis, and I wish he had used this type of emphasis early on in his speech when he was making some pretty bold statements early on. But anyways, let's move on.
It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true.
Now he's using a few other American heroes to build his credibility further by using the fact that it's Martin Luther King Day. He's once again trying to bolster his credibility in front of his audience by using ethos.
National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
Now he's using logos or logic to persuade his audience. Again, another persuasion technique he's using there by saying that it's only common sense to do what he's gonna do. It's only logical to do these things. Very good.
First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
I'm not gonna go through all the executive orders. I'm gonna jump to the end. If you wanna watch the full speech, the link is in the description.
Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico.
Those lines I feel like need to be said with a bit more conviction. He needs to really say it with his chest, if he's gonna make these bold claims, I feel like.
Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free, the United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
I like the way he said that line. He could have easily just said that we're gonna be putting the American flag on Mars, but he said stars and stripes on Mars, which is a bit of a clever way of saying the same thing.
Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation, and right now our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny.
I like the imagery he's using. The spirit of frontier is written into our hearts. Call of adventure resounds from within our souls. It's very good.
Mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken. I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best.
That's a great tagline. Impossible is what we do best.
From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love, and we love it so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We are going to win like never before.
Tricolon. That's another example of tricolon with anaphora. This is called an anaphora when you have the first few words of an element that are the same. For instance, in this one, he says, I will do this, I will do that, I will do this. That's 3 times. That's anaphora. That's called an anaphora.
To win like never before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly, but we are going to bring it back and make it great again, greater than ever before. We will be a nation like no other, full of compassion, courage, and exceptionalism. Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. America will be respected again and admired again. We will be strong and we will win like never before. Respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong.
He's making use of a persuasive style of structure. So now he's highlighting all the benefits that would result from implementing his policies and his plans into action.
Strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly.
He's using anaphora here again. He's saying we will do this, we will do that, we will do this. The first few words are the same for each element to create an effect for the audience.
And nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you.
He ended with the same sentence he started with. He linked the two together. He said the golden age of America is here initially, and then he says it once again here. Wow, that was an absolute masterclass in persuasive public speaking. I am hard-pressed to find any flaws in his writing. That was exceptional use of language. He used rhetorical devices on top of rhetorical devices. He used persuasive techniques to convince the audience of his point of view. And he also employed persuasive speech structure, which I will discuss in a minute. Trump made use of rhetorical devices such as tricolons, anaphora, alliteration, antithesis, imagery, metaphors. It's just the whole speech was filled with rhetorical devices. Trump also appealed to his credibility and his character ethos. He appealed to emotion, pathos, and he also appealed to logic, logos. He checked off all 3 of them. This was a long speech, so he was able to appeal to all 3 of these persuasive techniques in his speech. By appealing to all 3, he's trying to galvanize his supporters to put his executive orders and his policies into action and fully support him. Now let's talk about the speech structure. He used a highly persuasive speech structure. He stated the problem first, followed it up with some solutions, and topped it all off with the benefits that would result by implementing his solutions. This is a typical persuasive structure that's used in many commercials today, where they highlight a problem, then they bring out a product which is the solution, and then they show the benefits of using this product. That's what he did in his speech. He outlined the problems that America's facing. He then followed it up with the policy changes and the executive orders that he wants to implement. And then at the end, he talked about the benefits that would result as a direct consequence of implementing those actions. This was all discussed in the body of the speech, but there was also an introduction and a conclusion, and that's typically how it works. Now, a suggestion for improvement. There were a lot of bold claims that he made throughout his speech, and at times it felt like he wasn't really saying it with full conviction. It would be a huge improvement if he made some of these claims with emphasis. They would seem a lot more believable. It felt like the words that were coming out of his mouth were not in congruence with the way that he was saying these things. If you're gonna make big claims, you might as well own it and say it with your chest. That is just one slight improvement that I would like to see in him as a speaker. So with the use of the pause, I felt like, generally speaking, it was mostly as a result of the crowd cheering for him or giving him a round of applause that he would hold the pause for a little longer. But he could also use the pause to make his statements a bit more dramatic, and that's a good way of getting the audience's attention, which he didn't really fully use, and that's something that I would like to see him do next time. Overall, the most impressive thing for me was being able to deliver a 30-minute long speech without any notes. He was making eye contact with the audience on the left and on the right throughout his speech, and he never once glanced at his notes if he even had any. This must have taken him at least a month to prepare for this entire speech, because that's not an easy thing to pull off. He didn't forget any lines, and if he did forget, he improvised so well that the crowd couldn't tell that he did. And that's the kind of competence you want to see from a leader. A performance like that inspires confidence within your supporters. Overall, that was a masterclass in persuasive public speaking. There's a lot of tips and tricks that you could glean from just watching him speak, and I can't wait to evaluate and analyze more of his speeches that he does in the future. It's a tradition here to rate the speaker's communication skills based on their current performance, so let's do that. He gets a full 5 out of 5 for language. He used rhetorical devices and used other persuasive techniques which were very impressive. Vocal variety, he needs some improvement. I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 5. He could be a little less monotonous and use the pause a bit more effectively. Gestures, I'm not gonna rate him because he mostly kept his hands on the lectern and didn't really give many gestures. Comfort level is very high. I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 5 for this. Overall, he's an amazing public speaker, especially in persuasive speaking. He's extraordinary. Overall, he gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars. That is it for today. If you agreed or disagreed with something that I said, please be sure to comment down below and suggest other speakers for me to evaluate and analyze. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.